Whew. Whew. We're live, bud. We made it.
I'm telling you.
Dude.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Dude, you got it, bro. You got the vid, man.
I'm not going to say I do, and I'm not going to say I don't.
There's a definitive way to find out, man. Just test that there, bud. It's okay. I hope you don't, man. I just know you've been going through it, man, and I feel for you.
It's been tough.
And thank God we didn't link up like we planned, because I don't want the vid, man.
Dude.
Or whatever you got. I don't know what you got, dude. You got a new variant.
Right?
Or
I don't know what's going on with it. I'm going to be honest.
And you've been up and down, too. That's what's freaking me out. Like, one day, like, you're supercharged, and then the next day, it's like, death.
Dude, I'm feeling accomplished, though.
Is it about what's back there?
It is. I finished up a little promo today for our buddy Brad Watley.
I say we run it, bro.
Dude, check it.
Shout out to Brad, doing big things.
Shaky? Was that shaky?
It was shaky, but it was still clean.
Let me see if it plays right.
Play it one more time.
There we go. We're going to be doing. We've got a whole bunch of series of videos that we're going to be doing for him, featuring Bass Assassin, Vector Hooks, because he's a pro for a lot of those companies. Epic Baits.
Oh yes,
that's another great company you need to look out for.
They make some really cool jigs and really cool spinner baits, guys. If you don't know, you need to get to know Epic Baits for sure.
Yeah, Brad's up in Palatka right now, fishing the St. John's first stop of the Bassmaster Elites, and he had a rough day today. So
what happened? Anything bad?
He wasn't in the right place, dude. I don't know what happened, but I can tell you right now, big fish for the day was 9 pounds, 13 ounces. There was at least 10 other fish over 7 pounds caught.
Wow, on the St. John's.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So the fish are there. He's got to reach. He's sitting low in the pack right now, but if he can make it to 47th, he'll make the cut for Saturday, which is what he wants to do.
I think he can do it. I know he can do it, actually. Brad will figure it out, man. Brad will figure it out.
I'm sure he's figured something out today.
Yeah. And I mean, dude, call him and give him some of your tips, man.
Dude, no, the St. John's River is a
yeah, tips won't help you on the St. John's. Or what's that thing about I-4 in Orlando? There is no God on I-4.
There is no God for the St. John's. No,
I've heard it's tough.
Yeah, no, I know it's tough because there's a lot of local sticks that I see on that
just destroy everything. That
isn't doing too well.
No, I know. I've seen that. Surprising too.
So, I mean, hell, Ike and Ellie only got 13 ounces, so it can't be that bad.
Oh man, shots fired. No,
right?
But dude,
let's jump away from bass for a second. Who do we got tonight?
Dude, we have in my opinion, a Snook master, bro. Mr. FishGuyLu. And he's been showing a lot of love, to NextFish since the beginning, man. And since he's been showing love, and I've picked up on his accounts and stuff, and I've just been watching him, dude, just pop a Snook. I feel like every time I wake up in the morning, I like open up IG and we get tagged by freaking Lou, another fish, man. And I'm just
seeing his name everywhere.
Dude, I remember when I told you, we got FishGuyLu coming. Like, yes, he's been definitely interacting with us on social. Like, yeah, bro, Lou's been showing love since the beginning, man. He's a good dude. Again, shows lots of love, and he's pretty much exactly, I feel like, what every fisherman should be, man. Just a positive guy, real talk, straight up, no BS, all frills aside, and he's just doing it for the passion, man. That's right. There you go. Philip Alexander. I don't know who you are, but FishGuyLu is a pimp, man. He's killing it. He's killing it. He's killing it.
I can't help but look at myself in this camera. It looks like I got a bathrobe on, and
dude,
I'm dying.
You look like a pimp right now. Dude, you're pimping, dude. You're chilling.
I'm feeling rough, man.
But you're chilling though. You're doing big things, man. You're looking good.
I'm popping Hall's relief cough drops.
I see you, bro. I see you. I mean, I seen the Vicks sticks up your nose Tuesday when we were working. It's getting serious, man. That's right, Mr. Don. FishGuyLu is a beast, bro. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Hugh Hefner robe.
Hugh Hefner style. I thought it said High Life for a second. I was like, really?
Dude,
right? That's what I thought. Dude, it's like Budweiser vibe. But shout out to Totes and everybody at Frog Eaters, man. They got some cool stuff. And frog season's coming up, and I'm hearing them starting to chirp around my area, so I'm getting excited for frog season in my area specifically.
Before we cut to the Power Pole commercial, Sudsy dropped a new scent. Oh, it's going to come out tomorrow.
Yes. Getting lucky.
Feeling lucky. Getting lucky. It's lucky. I know that.
It's something about lucky. Yeah.
It's like a cocoa strawberry
cream. Like, dude,
dude, I'm excited for it.
I feel like it's a good vibe for the Valentine's Day, man.
That's what it's all about.
Good Valentine's Day vibes, guys. It's all about love right about now.
That's it.
But look, this is what we're going to do. We got a sick Power Pro commercial that gets everybody pumped every freaking time that we play it. Then we're going to bring in FishGuyLu, and we're going to talk about snook fishing. Something I don't get to do a lot, but I'm making it a point this year. And maybe we'll link up with FishGuyLu. Who knows? Power Pro right now, though.
Things you let me see.
There he is.
Look at him. He's chilling too. Everybody's chilling but me. I'm in my damn kitchen.
He's laid back. He ain't got no worries in the world right now.
No worries, man.
I wouldn't say that.
We all got worries. So, Lou, man, go ahead, introduce yourself, who you are, what you're about, and then we'll just start talking. We'll just start talking fishing, man. But who are you, FishGuyLu? For those who do not know, they need to wake up, get woke.
They call me FishGuyLu. A lot of people call me Lou. From Broward County. Been snook fishing for about 15 years consecutive. Tarpon fishing for 10. Yeah. I mean, everywhere I go, people, they roll up to the spillway. Hey, what's going on? I know who you are. At first, it was like, okay. Then it became more like, what's going on, bud? And then you become more of an influencer to spillway fishing, bridge fishing, jetty fishing. I mean, even when I'm on freshwater, where the freshwater meets the saltwater, sweetwater, and I roll up to the back and I'm just running the rocks and just, running around reckless, there's somebody always watching. And they pop out of the bush and you're like, whoa, what's going on, bud? Oh, hey, what's going on? So, basically sum it up, I'm just a guy out here getting tight one day at a time.
That's awesome.
It's the motto that I go by. Everybody that knows me, we have a thing that we do down here in Broward that people know me as Zing Zing. They see me.
That's where that came from. Okay. I saw old Philip here hit him with the Zing Zing.
Yeah, I'm on the road, and every time I'm on the road, I got people honking at me, and I'm like, yo, Zing Zing. I'm like,
bro, have you wrote that yet?
No, I don't do stuff like that because it's like I don't want to. No, I'm not like that. It's like it's awesome to see the people interact with that and get tight one time for me is another saying that I throw out all the time.
Nice.
I used to do live streams on Facebook and on Instagram every Friday night, and I would tell you at the end of my live stream, I'd tell everybody, be out there in the water, get tight one time for me. If you haven't got tight, hold on to that rock because you know what happens next. Same thing.
Damn, that's clean, right, bro. That's
clean. That just came off the top of the head.
Dude, that's awesome. We don't have anything. We end awkwardly and just like run out of here like idiots. But
I like awkwardness sometimes.
One thing I like about you, Lou, and this is our guys, for you that don't know, this is our first time actually speaking. We've interacted through social media for quite some time, but dude, watching your videos on YouTube and stuff, it's like you are such like a cool dude at the jetty or at the pier, wherever you've been fishing, man. Like you're not all about you catching the fish. It's about everybody there at that moment getting tight and everybody having a good time. And that it's hard. You don't see that most of the time, dude. A lot of people are for themselves, not for the sport and the vibe,
Mm-hmm. My listen, I've done it, and this is not like bragging or anything. I've caught him 200 snook. I've caught him 75, 100 tarpon. You know, I've caught him. But what I haven't done is watch the next guy next to me get tight.
Right, right.
And to be honest with you, it's more of seeing that person light up and getting that fired up. You know, sometimes I go up to these spillways and these kids don't got baits, and they got shiners, and you know they're hitting bass or they're hitting peacock. They get washed in, and you know maybe a 12-inch or 20-inch snook, and you know they're struggling, juvenile tarpon. But then I'm like, you know, I could be that guy and just, you know, look at them and put a big fish in their face, or I could be that guy and put them on. What's going to change that kid's outlook on fishing is putting that kid on. What's going to change that kid's thought process of going out there and wanting to pick up the rod instead of going out and doing something stupid is put a bait in his hand and watch him get tight and watch him enjoy that fight.
That's awesome.
Make him want to get out there and bump into me again.
Right. Yeah. Or even like you said, just pursue the sport more in general, man. I think it's an awesome thing. I think it's cool that fishing is the cool thing now. Like it never really was growing up for me.
Right. You know, I'm glad you bring that up, because if you would have thought about it, you know, 10 years ago, for an example, when we were growing up fishing.
Yeah.
For an example, we would go out with, you know, our boys and we would talk about it, and it would be just time to blow off. You know, catch one, you get a good one. It's a fish story. That's what we call it.
Right.
But then Instagram and social media took off, and the kids got involved. They were like, well, these guys are doing it, but we could do it better.
Oh yeah.
And then you got the kids coming out and they're pumping bigger fish, and they're out there and they're, you know, there's a couple of kids that I followed, like Fishing with Tarzan on Instagram.
Oh my God, dude. Freaking.
I bumped into him a couple of times and he makes me look bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like for an example, everybody knows I knocked out last season 37 slots. Nice. 37 slots I knocked out in one season. Now, did I keep all 37? Absolutely not. I'm not that guy who's gonna stockpile snook in my freezer. I'm not gonna do it. You tear away the fishery when you do stuff like that.
Right.
You know, with me, a big thing with fishing is making sure that we have waters for our kids to fish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I support Captains with Clean Waters. The movement that they do. I respect the fishery as much as I can. I keep the fish. If you watch the videos that I put up, you watch that I keep the fish submerged in the water. When I come up to do my photo shoots, I pull them up, and it's right back.
Very careful. Yeah, very careful. Let's worry about the fish first. If we you know, snaps off, if you know, I don't want to hurt that fish. That's another thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, dude. All your videos, you're very careful about the fish.
Right.
And those moments get tense, right? Like especially at the spillways and the jetties and stuff. And you need people where they need to be when they need to be there. So dude, I feel like that's a bond though that angler and net guy have. That the angler can get onto that net guy, and the net guy can get right back onto that angler, and you guys work as one.
Unfortunately, it's come to the point where my net guy pursued his personal business, and I no longer have a net guy. So every fish you see me landing now is solo net. The only one that I didn't net was the one on Monday. There was a random kid, you know, and his friends at the spillway. And I looked over at them, and they're recording this fight. And I didn't even know it was being recorded. I was like, I look up, and I'm like, "Are you recording this?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm recording." And I'm like, in the middle of a fight, and I'm telling the other guy, "You might want to get this net, and let's get this fish up and get it over with quick. That way we can get this fish back in the water and pump away at another one."
That's funny.
You know?
No.
But 90% of the time, the fish that you see coming up, I mean, lately it's just been me. You know, I have to get the fish to a point where they're laying on their side, open up my bail, grab the line right with my hand, wrap it around my sleeve, and net with one hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it behind, you know, the camera. The camera doesn't see everything. I mean, if I put the GoPro back on, people would be like, "How is this guy not sponsored? How is he not this? Why is he doing this by himself?" And it's like, you know, at first I was chasing that wave, like, let's go for sponsors. And then I'm like, I'm going to hold off on that. And I'm just going to keep throwing bangers up. And then you have some people knocking on your door when things start to fall into place, and it's like, you know, the guy who makes my hat, Naughty Bones. He came knocking on my door 3 years ago, and I had the message today. You're gonna pop. You're on Snook. You're gonna pop. I posted one video up on YouTube, and the video took off overnight. The video took off 3K in one night, and I was like, "This is what I do on a daily. What's going on here?"
Like, yeah, why don't I keep doing this, right?
So then I fell into a rhythm of, okay, well, we'll pump out spillway videos and this and that, and I took some time off of YouTube, and now I do shorts. So the reason why I do shorts is because exposing a spot so hard and showing people that there's such big fish also comes with the bads. You know, poachers, unfortunately, I see it, everybody sees it. We're on the water, and you turn around and some guy's loading up a 20-inch Snook or loading up a 40-inch Snook.
Or buckets. Like that's so bad.
Yeah. So it goes to the point, you know, bass fishing, you got a couple of guys that love to eat bass, you know, here and there, but their main focus is, oh, peacock tastes better than largemouth, which is fine, you know, whatever floats your boat. But when you start targeting a species such as Snook, and especially freshwater Snook, you're kind of decompleting that species, that line, and they're not going to spawn out because you're taking the spawners.
Yeah.
And then usually what happens is that we'll go through a process of, you know, a month will be good at the spillway. And
next thing you know, it's cleaned out.
You're cranking away. You're hitting fish after fish. You know, Saturday morning, you're up by 10 o'clock in the morning, you're up 10 fish. And you have 340s under your belt, 37 and 36. And you post it on Instagram. But then you turn around, and then next month rolls around, and everybody went to the swap shop and bought a fishing pole to the flea market. And they're there. And that's not, again, I don't ever, you know, look down on that. Listen, I'm all for it. If you don't need $100 pole. You don't need a $60 pole. You could have your granddad's pole and go out and hit one and have a good time doing it. But just make sure you respect the regulations that we have set out. You know, we set these regulations for rules and everything because this is what's going to keep the sport alive. You know, I've seen it all. You know, 20-inch Snook going to a box. You know, there's times that I say something like, you know, how many people are going to eat that? And the guy turns around and he's like, "Oh, it's just me. I'm going to make a sandwich." And you don't know what he's going through because he could be going through some hardship himself. So I've learned, take a couple of steps back. You know, don't bash somebody for what they're doing, but influence them and enlighten them the rules and regulations.
Yeah. I think that's key. I think knowledge is key there. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things like there's a limit. That means that's the most you should take. It doesn't mean you have to take that much either. With like, I know there's some fish in the ocean that are like snapper and stuff are huge limits. What are you going to do with 100 freaking snapper? Like they won't even freeze that long. Like maybe you may have a week. So like, what are you doing? Right. I've like you said, I've seen, dude, I've had ponds that that was like sacred to me. Same deal. I post, boom, Joe was caught like an 8.5. Next thing I know, dude, there's like shiner buckets and everything out there. And I'm like, oh all my fish are gone, dude. And those are spawning fish that. And for same thing with bass, man, it takes a long time for bass to get 8 pounds, close to 10 years. Like, so you kill an 8-pounder, like I gotta wait 8. I ain't got 8 years, man. I'm getting old. You know, I can't. You can't do that, man. It's not good.
Right.
But
I've learned, you know, over the time of fishing, and this was a prime example, and this is it hit me in the heart when I did this. I went to the spillway down in Davie, Orange Drive at 441. OG spot. Everybody knows that spot.
Yeah, legendary.
I went over there and I shot a video, and I pulled up in that video. I pulled up a 32, and I pulled up 5 tarpon. And I knew the conditions. I knew what I was getting myself into. I waited till the time to shoot this video for the finger mullet to roll in. I had planned this video for a year. Made the video. The next week after the video hit 3K, there was 22 cars parked up there.
Damn.
I pulled up to the spillway, and I'm looking, and there's people with underslots and out of season, and there's people with jacks all over the floor, and you're like, this is my doing. Because now I feel like I influenced this.
Like like because of the video, it's really
I promoted it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're starting to find tarpon that are taking a beating.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're like, well, that's one of my favorite fish to catch. That's one of my, you know, besides
like,
snook, tarpon,
like the
tarpon for
special
me.
fish. Yeah.
You know, those things live longer than us. They've been around longer than humankind.
Yeah.
And to see them decomplete in certain freshwater spots, it's a hit to the heart. Because your kids are never gonna experience that. I might hit 5, and then the next day if you find 2 gut hooks.
Yeah.
You're you know, you sit there, and it's not because they're doing it on purpose, it's just they're not experienced with a fish of that nature.
Yeah. And the sad part of that is, you know, you said most people aren't doing it on purpose, but there are people who do it on purpose, who are just, I don't know what you want to call them, trolls, haters, just
Yeah, you know, there's been times that I
man.
roll up to a spot and there's cast nets abandoned in the water.
Yeah.
You know, and I pull up to the spot, and it's not my cast net, because I'll show you cast nets for days.
Yeah.
You know, I cut my weights off, I recycle my cast nets to best of my ability. You know, I even make fish traps out of them to catch bait. But at the end of the day, I roll up to a spot, and you know, I don't carry boots on me all the time. You know, water boots. So for me to go ahead and jump in my shoes straight into the water, knee height, and with a knife and start cutting away a net just to preserve that, and FWC roll up and they're like, "Is that your net?" No, my net.
There's like slime all over it. Like,
you know,
yeah.
You're more than welcome to check the net. The net's in the truck. I'm actually in the water to clean up the water.
Yeah, I'm trying to help you out.
I had to shoot a separate video showing that, you know, I did a water, you know, clean up your waterway video.
Yeah.
Where I did where I walked out and I took a trash bag, loaded up the back of my truck with, you know, trash, went home and threw it out. You know, in the video, I was kind of upset because I'm like, you know, if you would have came here before I shot the spillway video, there was no trash. There was no tires. There was no carcasses. There was nothing. But now I'm picking up a bunch of stuff because, again, that fell under me. That's how I took it. I put a lot of that pressure on me because I influence people to go outside and try to be Instagram famous for a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's cool because it's almost like you're igniting your own fire to make it better for the future. And every little step you take now, you know, with everything you've got in retrospect, everything you do now is going to, you know, definitely impact a positive influence.
Right. So, you know, there's got to points where, you know, there's a thing where there's a saying that, you know, we say in the snook industry, you do the right thing and trouble will always come back and find you. And unfortunately, it's a saying that everybody could relate to. You know, I could go out and I could catch 20 snook, not post it, not say anything, have a great day on the water. Next thing you know, I come up to a spot and you may have FWC down your throat. And not because you're doing the wrong thing, and not because you know, you got your license, you got your stamps, you got everything you need. Not because what it is they're trying to set examples out of people.
Yeah.
So for the guys that are doing the right thing, they figure, well, we'll set an example out of this guy, and we'll get on him, and we'll do this, and we'll do that, and people will see it, and you know, they'll get their moment of glory. Oh well, there he is hitting his knees again. You know, he took a fall.
Yeah.
You know, FWC is on him. He doesn't want to fish anymore. He doesn't want to do this, and they want some people want to see you do bad before you do good.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you got to steer away from that. You got to continue to push away from that, and just keep going. Unfortunately, how I look at it is, I don't get, like I told you guys before when we were backstage. I went out today. I missed an over, and I missed the slot. Am I worked up, upset about it? No. Tomorrow's another day. We'll get back in the water. We'll push the way out of it. You know, at this point, this year has started. I lost 17 snook already, but I'm not. If I could count every fish I hit, my walls would be lined up with chalk marks on them.
Right.
You know, and it's just after 200, after 250, after 300, you just lose count. You know, it's just you want to get that fish up, photo, out. That's it.
It's safe. Yeah. There's been times I've even went fishing and it's not for anything other than me going fishing. And I think a lot of, especially Lou, like being in the influence game, and I picked up some sponsors along the way, and it adds that extra little weight on your shoulders, because you got to produce, right? Like why are you on the squad if you can't handle it? or you can't produce like you say you are. But moving throughout the Instagram phase and everything, once I realized, I'm like, oh my God, people care about me catching fish. It like sparked me to do better, you know, and here I am now with NextFish.co, you know, I don't know. It's like a catch-22 because you want to show people like, yo, look at this awesome thing that you can do outdoors. And then, but like, don't destroy it. Like there's more to it, you know, like
you don't want to tarnish it.
Like, yeah, you don't want to tarnish it. And like my thing is, I'm with you. I want everybody else to catch fish. Like I've caught fish, right? I'm good. I'm going to continue to catch fish, and if I miss them all today, I'll catch them tomorrow.
That's my excuse.
I want people to catch fish, and nothing's worse than seeing it trashed, or they don't understand what else goes into that. Like I don't just like you said, I don't just wake up, throw on a swim bait, and go catch a 10-pound bass. Like I put research. I put time.
I wake up and bait's not around. You know, you gotta remember, I'm 90% of what I do is it's not. Yeah, I use a lot of live bait. I'll be honest with you guys. You guys know this. Everybody knows this. FishGuyLu uses live bait. Well, here's the thing. And again, it's nothing against artificial guys because I throw it. I throw NLBs. I throw it as well. My thing is producing. Am I going to produce today, or am I going to wait a week and not produce at all?
Yeah.
Am I going to throw 100 times and miss that one snook, or that bait's going to glide right past him, and am I going to sit there and struggle to get hooked up, or am I going to go and send a donkey bait down and get smoked?
Yeah, like a pound-and-a-half cichlid down there and just get
toast. Not even. You throw a 12-inch big mullet, a horse-like mullet, and that thing just you eat the amount of pops that you hear down there. Your heart is like, when the first pop goes, your heart is like, whoop, and you're like,
dude, it's insane, dude.
It's honestly, they say the tug is your drug, and there's absolutely, that is it. When you're sitting there and your heart's going, and you're one with the bait, you could feel it twittering at the end of your line, and you're like, and I tell you, I could feel that bait boogieing, and when he stops and he's just fluttering right there, and you just hear boom, boom, and you're looking around and you're like, well, there ain't nobody else up here.
Yeah, no one's throwing rocks down in the
and there ain't no bowling balls falling from the top of the sky. This is getting rocked down there, and you look down and you see a 40-inch. The day that I caught my 42, that was the moment that I realized, it was like, I just broke my all-time personal best. That was that moment that I sent the biggest mullet I had in my bucket down, and I only carried 2 of them that night. It was one for me and one for my net guy. And my net guy went ahead and he turned around and he's like, "You think these things are going to get hit?" The amount of blowing up I've heard under me, because remember, when you're fishing a spillway, you're elevated over the snook. A lot of people, there's a preference of how you're going to do it and what kind of hooks you're going to use. I'm a strictly J guy when I'm up top. The only reason why is because when I'm going to kick that rod over my shoulder and lean into him, I want that hook to snatch him and put pressure out and keep him up top.
And stay up, yeah.
The thing I tell everybody that fishes, you could run a circle hook. I don't frown upon it, but there's a limitation to a circle hook that you could use it for. If you're elevated at an elevated spot and you're way over them, 20 feet up, and you're looking down and it's 20-foot drop, and you see 4 or 5 snook, dink under there, rolling around under you, 20-inch, 30-inch, there's going to be a big one down there. This is a school that congregates with everybody. They move in packs. You're not going to find one snook that runs by himself. You're going to find 3 or 4 of them. And the biggest one is going to challenge that bait. And when it challenges the bait, you're going to want every bit of that J hook on you. You're not going to want the circle, because at that kind of level where you're at, putting pressure on them and that fish is dogging you out, you're going to pull the hook. It's like setting a hook. You're just vertical.
And I mean, that's why there's so many different types of styles of hooks now. Like if circle hooks were that much better than J hooks, they wouldn't make J hooks anymore, right? But they're still one of the most popular live bait hooks for sure.
Right. No, I still fish circles. If you look on my December 24th post, Christmas Eve, I went out and I went ahead and I popped the 39-inch snook on a circle hook. Right. But the statue of where I was, the placement of where I was, it requested a circle hook.
Right.
Because I lost that fish an hour ago on a J hook. I would have pulled it straight out. I'm no longer vertical with it, so I can't keep that pressure tight. That fish is dragging me to the left, and I'm gonna pull the hook from the keeping right.
It's just an awkward shape. Yeah, like when the circle hook, it'll just dig in even harder.
Right. So there's specifications for what you do and how you do it.
That's
spillway fishing. A lot of people are like, oh well, it's easy. You go up on a spillway and you send the bait down and you get hit. I wish it was that easy. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Dude, I've missed my biggest snook ever, and it was 40 plus. I'm not saying it was like a 48 or nothing, but it was definitely 40 plus at a spillway over in Inglewood with my buddy Mac Hoover. Shout out Mac Hoover and the Bassets. They took me to this sketch ass spillway, dude, where we had to like sneak through like a trailer park. And you're like, we got like 15 minutes, guys, and we had these giant cichlids, dude, that were like 12 inches. And I'm like, there's no way. He's like, bro. He's like, what do you have? I'm like, I just brought my 4K, and at the time I had I think a St. Croix moho or something. And dude, I set that thing down there and I got some mizzoked, bro. And the funny thing, it's funny you say that. I was fishing with a circle hook at the time, and I wish I would have had a J hook. Now that it's all making sense now.
I mean,
I probably didn't.
I studied it to a certain point, and it's something you do. You like for you guys, bass fishing. You want to know everything. You use sense, certain leaders. If you use leaders, some people don't actually break. There's so many diversities of how you're going to execute your next fish. Well, with snook guys, they get into this motion of, well, live baiting working through. Do I throw a jig or throw a swim bait? So you throw a jig for 30 minutes and nothing happens. Then you throw a hoagie or a glide bait and you get whacked. But it's not the size you're looking for. You switch back to the jig and you're like, oh well, I threw an all white jig. Let me throw a chartreuse rig on.
Right.
And then you get your over. It's some you gotta find when you're out there. I can tell you on artificial days, I cut and retie. I run a 6 foot leader when it comes to artificial because we're cutting down.
You're gonna be freaking cutting and
you're cutting. Your toenail clippers are coming out and you're hitting that line every 10 minutes.
Well, look,
it gets rough. Sebastian, it was a wake up call because Sebastian, I went out there and I went to target one fish. I didn't care about tarpon. I didn't care about snook. Everybody knows Broward, I could get them all day. Miami, I could get them all day. I went out there to target redfish. Went there in the coldest times, went with the bait they were looking for. I struck out. I got hooked up one time, gone. Like that. It happened so fast that I didn't realize what just happened.
Yeah.
That's part of the nature of the game. You would throw fiddler crabs, nothing. You throw blue crabs, little blue crabs like this, nothing. Right. You throw jigs, and everybody's getting hooked up, and you're like, well, hello, is the jig broken? What's going on? So, when it comes to fishing, especially snook fishing, tarpon fishing, or targeting a certain species, it's not that easy. There's struggles that, even with live bait, there's struggles that we go through. Okay. Sometimes you pull it to the spot, and you're like, there's no bait. It's like your world is rock at that point. It's like, hello.
You got to find that balance between efficiency and effectiveness,
right?
To make it happen.
Out and be good at both. I think I don't have any hate towards live bait fishermen. My biggest bass actually came on a wild shiner. It's 12 pounds 3 ounces, and so I have my PB for shiner fishing, which is 12.3, and then my artificial is 9.7 on a jig. But
my personal best.
Yeah, hit me with your personal best first, because then we got a video in the back that I want to play because this thing is a tank. But what's your personal best?
My personal best snook is 42, and that was on the mullet. But my first personal best snook was 41, unhull over, and I hit him on a jig. First light tackle jig.
Oh,
I was telling you guys prior to that. Went out there with this story was just all jacked up. I went out with 7.6 medium heavy, 20 pound spider wire on a fierce 5,000, and I was rolling 40 pound monofilament Andy leader.
Good.
I had somebody tie
what are you doing
at the time. I didn't believe in FG knots, so I had somebody tie FG knot, and I'm out there and I'm just plugging away, and I'm like, I look at the chick I'm with at the time. I'm like, one last cast, and she's like, "You're not really good at this, are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." At that point, I'm like, "Oh, this is my first time using a jig, so
like,
yeah, I have no experience." So in the caught up in the motion, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna send it. I sent it, and I apparently hit a sandbar that's out in hollow, and I started reeling. I was like, I'm not gonna change it. I'm not gonna bump it, nothing.
Just straight
And it's smoked, dumping. And I'm like, oh, I'm holding this rod and I'm trying to keep it all together. And I'm like, my boy's over here. He's been snook fishing for the longest, and he's like, oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. She hasn't jumped yet, and all we just see is just head shakes coming up. I'm like, I don't know what happened. Then it just took off, and I'm telling you, dumping. Come to find out, it was railed by a dolphin, and I'm like, it was still alive. Like the photos up on Facebook, it was still alive. It was just the back end was just all torn up, and I'm like,
scaled up and stuff. Yeah.
I'm looking at my friend. I'm like, do I take a picture with this thing? Like, how do I hold it? What am I doing here? And he's like, yeah, I think you might want to take a picture of that since it's your first big snook and you're not at a little spillway.
Like a spot, yeah.
All right, yeah. So I took a photo and like that. It just changed the game. Like, so, I went on a bench for like 2 years of jig fishing, and I was just producing nonstop. First, like sending me jigs, and I'm like, well, what do I do with all these? I only needed 5. They sent me 20.
Oh.
So, at that point, you just start giving them out.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, well, that's how I guess snook fishing, jig snook fishing was introduced.
Well, what happened with this? Pull up this video because, dude, this is like one of your most recent catches. Or recently posted catches.
Oh, my God.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Bro, this is
clean.
Oh,
my God.
I haven't watched this yet.
You haven't?
No.
Bro, watch this. Dude, look at all that sludge on top, dude.
I'm saying, good Lord.
Yeah.
But, dude, I don't know how that got finessed. Look at all the grass.
Dude.
Yeah.
Ready?
Look at that
Unreal.
fish, dude. Oh, the drip.
That was a 6 shot.
The drip's so clean.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Dude.
So here's the story with that. That was Monday. So that was this Monday. And it happened so fast. I got ran out of another spillway. I had a situation going on there. I get ran out of the first spillway. I call my homeboy. I'm like, hey, I need you to do me a solid. He's like, what's up? I'm like, I got bait still in my truck. I'm about 6 miles away from my truck. I had to run from the spillway. And he's like, I'm not going to ask. Where are you at? I'm like, I'm over here. So I drop him a pin. He shows up. Takes me back to my truck. I get in the truck. He calls me. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go give that spot a shot. I know there's something down there. I've been pulling decent fish out of there. And it's been a week and nothing's there. So he's like, all right, let me know how you do. All right. So I pull up to the spot, and there's these 3 kids that are just like throwing chatterbaits and frogs. And I'm like, you can't blame them because they've never fished the spillway. They never experienced that.
They don't know, and they're just trying. I mean, yeah.
Right, and I respect it because you'll get some big snakeheads out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So I turn around, and I'm like, the kid comes up. He's like, what are you using? I'm like, I got to burn out these baits. And it was just a burnout. I was going to burn out the baits and just call it a day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to burn out these baits. He's like, all right. Well, you mind if I hang out with you? I won't drop any baits down or bother you. I'm like, more the merrier. Like, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm open. I tell everybody straight cut. I'm an open book. I'd rather you see what I'm doing so you learn it.
Right.
So he was like, really? I'm like, yeah, come on. So he's like, all right. So I throw the rod over the rail. I set it over the other side. I throw the Phoenix over there, and I throw my drop net over the gate. And he's like, what's with the net? And I'm like, just in case something happens. So he's like, all right, cool, hey, whatever. So I go ahead and I slide the bait over the gate, and I go over the gate, and I set up, and I'm like, just do me a favor, don't lean over the rail, because I don't know what's down there yet. I don't know if it's grass mats or if it's open water moving.
Right.
So and I don't want them to walk up and spook something, because Snook, 90% of the time they're looking up at you.
They're looking up, yeah.
So they're waiting for mine, minnows,
shadows
whatever,
or something,
to fall over the wall, and they smoke it. So I'm like, just do me a favor, don't lean over the rail. And he's like, no, I got you. I'm like, I appreciate it. It's not to be, that guy, but I just don't. I'd rather first drop and stand back on the rail than
see what goes on. Yeah.
Right. So I go to the first hole, and the first hole is completely empty. I know the pattern that this spillway. Then I go, and I'm like, there's a 10% chance that there's fish down in this hole. The other hole has the grass mats. That's the stuff I like to fish, grass mats. So the kid thought I was on the other side of the wall, on the open side where you're fighting. So I dropped the bait straight down, and I'm stripping line, and I'm stripping, and I feel this bait just fluttering down there, and he just stops. I look over the kid, I'm like, watch this. Boom. No pop, no nothing. Quiet, thumped it on the drop. Line is just dumping off my spool. I look over at the kid, I'm like, you're lucky you stuck around, huh? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, 3, 2, close the bail, went to put the shoulder into him, and after that, the cameras came flying out, and we shot a video.
That's insane.
I look up, and I look down, and I have the whole video, the uncut versions. The kid is like, he looks down, he's like, man, that ain't shit. Sorry about the language. He's like, that ain't nothing.
You're good.
So I'm like, I look down, and I see the mouth just open up, and I'm like, oh, she ain't done. Started stomping on me. And that's when all the weeds and everything started getting in my line. And I'm like, I've had experience now where the weeds will pull the hook out of the snook's mouth. So, they move, and that resistance of the weed will go the opposite way.
It's the opposite,
and pulls the hook. So I'm like, I'm going to play this one to the max. So I backed off the drag, let it do 2 dumps, and he dumped and dumped and dumped. Finally, I looked over the kid, I was like, the one who was recording on my right. I locked down, and I'm like, you want to see what this reel's about? And he's like, you just messing around this whole time? I'm like, time to work. And I put my boys called me Tippy Toe Tony, because I stand on my tippy toes. It's short people problems, bro.
I got you.
Andrew would know.
Yeah.
You're just like pumping into this fish, and you're pulling. And I don't know, after that, this fish comes up sideways, and I'm looking down at it, and it's looking up at me. It was like, you kicked you rocked me. And I'm like, I look at the kid, I'm like, you got that net in your hand. You want to drop that, or you're going to hold the net? So I'm telling you, gave me in the video, drop, pull.
Right.
So I'm coaching, because it's just first time using a net. So I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll guide the fish in. And it was a process of elimination of trial and error, because we almost lost the fish with the first drop. The second drop, he got it in, and I'm like, I see him pulling, and I'm like inside clapping. I'm like,
thank God. Yeah.
Fish comes up, and the kid comes running around the camera, and I'm like, and I just took the GoPro off my head. Just took the GoPro prior to this. And I'm like, you know what? This couldn't have played out any different. Any better, any different. We talk about the right crowd, right time, right place. I've had videos that surface online where I caught a tarkin on Facebook Live and on South Florida Fishing, and I'm just talking to them like this, and next thing you know, my rod's doubled over, and I'm dumping 100 yards of line, and people are just pouring into the live stream. And when I look, the next time I look down, there's like 500 people, and I'm like, I only got 10 friends. I wake up the next day, and the video is 125K views, and I'm like,
what?
And I'm like, what just happened? And my boy's like, well, you just went viral. If that was what you're looking for. And I'm like,
I didn't know it was going to happen. Yeah.
After that point, this whole situation played out. I'm like, well, this is either going to go really good in my favor or really bad. Because somebody's going to say I mishandled the fish.
Yeah.
But then they went really good because everybody was like, "Were you fighting that fish backwards?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, believe it or not, I dropped the bait straight down. The spillway is actually behind me."
Yeah.
They're
Oh
like,
my
"What were
gosh,
you
dude.
fishing?" I was like, "I was fishing that 4.5 foot variance from the wall to the gate."
Jesus, dude.
And they're like, "You pulled a 40-inch snook out of that variance?" I'm like, "I had the video."
Yeah. Y'all saw it live. Check
Yeah,
it.
so I
Give me
mean,
another
TNR
beat.
Tackle, they ran with it. Atlantic Bait Tackle ran with it. I mean, I'm sleeping. You know, I get home from work. I have inventory to inventory out, and I take a nap, dude. And I'm laying there in bed, and my phone just bing, 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 and I'm just like, what's going on? And I look at my phone, and you've been shared 22 times, and I look at the analytics, and I'm like, what? I'm like, it
Just
doesn't
on the
make
tarpon.
sense. This profile has been shared. This photo has been shared with like 33 pages, and I only have like 120 likes. I'm like, dude, I'm not chasing the likes, but
Yeah.
what's going on here? How did we reach some? You start asking yourself, like, how many people did you reach?
Dude, the algorithm, bro, it's freaking insane.
That's insane.
Well, and
The
then it
algorithm
didn't
is
help. You
beast.
know, it was an ego boost because when I woke up and I look at my phone and there it is, Penn International,
It
the actual
continues.
page is liking your post, and you're like, calling your friends panicking like, oh my God, 250,000 following, Penn International. They hit my page, dude. They liked in there.
It's like
They,
the real one.
I'm like, there's the overnight celebrity thing. I was like, okay, this is weird.
Dude,
So
let me tell you, from one thing working in the industry, these companies do watch. For everybody watching, if that's your goal, if you're looking to get sponsored and stuff like that, they see you guys. Every move you make on the water, off the water, every person you talk to, that people remember. For all you guys who are trying to chase that pro staff dream or ambassador, whatever it may be, you know, or you want to rep a, or say you like whatever Shimano, hold yourself accordingly, you know, carry yourself like a professional, and they see you, bro. I promise. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It takes the right time, the right moment. It takes that tarpon coming out of that 4-foot variance, you know, but don't stop if that's what you're chasing. And
yeah, I mean, you got to come to an agreement with yourself. Are you going to do this for a sponsor, or are you going to do this because you enjoy it and it's a passion?
right.
Now, I tell everybody this is that the moment that you turn it to work, you got to wake up and you got to realize this is what it is. We're going to crank away at it. We're going to plug away at it. We need to produce and continue to produce.
Yeah,
How expensive are you going to get into it?
It is work. It is work, man. Like you said, and it's not, it's enjoyable work, man. It's nothing more rewarding though than like getting behind a brand you love and making it happen for them and for everybody around you, and just, you know, spreading that knowledge. For me, that's what the beauty of my, I found myself having a lot of people knocking at my door, and I've eventually had to close doors off and get with the right group, you know, with the right few, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, I had to close the door with a tackle shop that I was with for 5 years. And
and most of it's respectable closing, right? Understandable closing. You know, I always seek to understand, and if people understand and know the why behind your moves and how you act, it makes it a lot easier pill to swallow when you do have to close doors, you know, respectfully.
Right. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. But Lou, I appreciate you, bud. It's getting time to shut this thing down.
No, I appreciate you guys.
Fisherman, dude, at FishGuyLu on IG. If you don't follow him, you're missing out. I love to wake up and check FishGuyLu's page out because I never know what he's going to be pulling out, dude.
No,
I appreciate the support.
And here's a side note, guys. If you ever happen to find yourself in his area, be sure you know how to work a drop net.
Yes, please don't be the little kid. Like, don't cost FishGuyLu another.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that. Hashtag don't be that guy. Can we make that a thing?
Are we gonna do that one? Hashtag don't be that guy.
Yeah.
No, but listen, you have a cool saying that you used to say. Why don't you hit him with it and then we'll close out?
I got you. So everybody who knows me on the FishGuyLu fam, you guys know I had to carry this one over. If you're out there in the water, get tight one time for me. If you haven't got tight, hold on to that rod because you know how that goes.